That's right, everybody. We've made it. Welcome to another episode of Must Starts here on Football Guys YouTube page. My name is Daniel Harms. I'm a fantasy film analyst, and this is the start of 90% of the fantasy football playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. Another game.
That's right, Coach Moore. We all want to win another game and then maybe another one after that to secure a fantasy football championship. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you're hitting that sub button and then allow me to work through some stats, some film, and earn a like from you. Before we get into it, in the comments section, for those of you that ended up making the playoffs, congratulations, well-deserved pat on the back. I want to hear who led you to the postseason on their back, because we all have someone that really lifted our teams. And for those of you that are watching for the film and everything else that maybe didn't make the postseason in all of them, I want to hear who drug you down this year. We've got that player or two that's sitting on IR or just on the bench because they never fulfilled their aspirations. So make sure to put those in the comments. And then we're going to start off with Justin Fields. I almost said Herbert, who's actually hurt. Justin Fields, quarterback 8 on Football Guys weekly ranks. And I know what you're saying. They play the Cleveland Browns defense, but the last 3 weeks, quarterbacks have averaged 19.7 fantasy points against the Cleveland Browns defense, and those guys can't do this. Justin Fields brings an entire element of athletic ability and ability to make guys miss. And it's not just because he's a great athlete or a runner that I'm going to be starting him, but this is what we're getting here. The Lions come up in this front where it basically looks like they're going to bring everybody at you all at once. And I'm a big fan of the way that, it's 3rd and 8. So the Bears are trying to get deeper route concepts out. They're a little bit more developing, and Fields has to really get back here. One thing you're going to notice is that Fields takes a little bit too much of a drop here. He goes like 12 yards back, and that creates a big angle for Aiden Hutchinson to win against Darnell Wright, who actually did a very decent job of allowing him to be getting him up the arc. But Fields, again, got pressure in his face, pressure coming from the right. Longer developing routes. No one's open immediately downfield for a first down on 3rd and long. You have maybe here, but by the time this gets open, you've got pressure here. So Fields does what he does best. He makes 2 guys miss behind him. He's looking to his left. No, he stops and comes back out to his right. Turns what maybe should have been a safety into a 30-yard gain. That's the difference between Justin Fields and most of these guys that have played against the Cleveland defense. That's exceptional. They're a really good pass rush. They have guys everywhere. And then, like I said, they're going to bring pressure. They're going to get that. Roschon Johnson initially does a good job in pass protection right there, then gets kind of moved around. But Fields, the athlete, the speed that he brings to the position is completely different. And, since week 4, on all passes that are not deemed screens, Justin Fields ranks 6th in yards per attempt, 3rd in passer rating, 5th in highly accurate throw rate, which means that he's throwing the ball to all levels of the field accurately. And this is one of the plays that we can see that. He's going to layer this throw behind a linebacker in front of another. So he's going to hitch firstly here. So right here, you've got Cole Kmet coming across over the middle of the field on this over route. And Jack Campbell's in coverage. So he's going to clear the linebacker, but then Alex Anzalone is going to step kind of back into this area. Fields wants to throw this ball on a line right here after we see Cole Kmet clear. He wants to throw it. So here's the tiny little hitch. Freezes the linebackers underneath, and then he layers it to them, to Cole Kmet down the field. There's that hitch we're talking about right here. Really just half a second, a little bit of a hitch. Fantastic job throwing this outside of the coverage and into a running wide open Cole Kmet. Fantastic layering job. So all the things that we're seeing from Justin Fields in second, he's even second in adjusted completion rate. He's doing a fantastic job of playing better than he was when he was injured. I think that they're doing a nice job of calling more run plays for him. He looks healthier. He looks more confident in his ability to throw the ball all avenues of the field. And then he's got 42 rushes in the last 3 weeks alone for 221 rushing yards and a touchdown. That's what I'm talking about with those those added runs. I believe every single week he's been in double digits rushing the ball, and they've schemed up more rushing attempts for him, and we know he's got a deep ball. Like, we know that Justin Fields has a fantastic arm. He gets free play from a rusher. You just got DJ Moore, who's going to do a really great job of kind of going outside and then going up the middle here. Just easy street. Outside release, inside, beats deep, throwing for a touchdown in stride. So Justin Fields, man, everything that people have talked badly about him for the most of his career, I think right now, he's not even playing just the best football of his career. He feels comfortable. It's like he's free of something. He's playing excellent as a thrower, as a runner, and I think that he's a must-start contention for the rest of the fantasy playoffs, because not just of what he brings as a passer, he can throw the ball deep, but those rushing numbers, we all know he's a fantastic rusher. So I probably should have said those the opposite way. Not because he's a great rusher, not only because he's a great rusher, because he's throwing the ball accurately and confidently. So quarterback 8, Justin Fields, a must start this week, and with whatever quarterbacks you got on your teams in the playoffs, he's going to bring the highest floor and upside every single week. The next guy we're talking about is a fan favorite. Everyone loves Bijan Robinson, who's currently running back 6 on Football Guys Weekly Ranks. We had him ranked as running back 12 earlier in the week, but now we're talking about him as a top 6, probably a top 5 back against the Carolina Panthers defense. This is a fantastic just look at how the Atlanta Falcons get him into space. They come out in 22 personnel. 22 personnel means you got 2 running backs and you have 2 tight ends. So we have Jonnu Smith here and Kyle Pitts here. Then you bring Cordell Patterson and Bijan Robinson. 1-2, 1-2. And they're going to just spread everything out. They're in pistol formation here. But we can see that we have 8 members of the defense in the box. That's a heavy box to be able to, run on, not only to get as much space as they did for an 8-yard gain, but look at this. They're inviting 8 men in the box, especially because the defense knows the run's coming. So they're going to run a little bit of an RPO split zone. They're going to release Cordell Patterson off the right-hand side on an RPO flat route. They're also going to motion Jonnu Smith from left to right after the snap for the split zone look. The offensive line is going to move out this way for that zone, and then they hand it off to Bijan Robinson. So that split zone action from the tight end also holds the defense on the right-hand side here, and it's going to split the defense kind of into 2 sections here. We're going to see how the motion here, again, freezes the defense. So you've got players out here in motion. You've got defensive players here. And again, Bijan is right here, and they're in space. Look at all the space with 8 men in the box. There's tons of space for him to make a move. And this is just what they've done against, I believe that Tampa Bay's run defense has been much better right now. They're playing right now than they were earlier in the season. All of these guys back healthier, and they're playing a much higher level on the defensive side, trying to win that division. So Atlanta here comes out, again, in those 22, 12 personnel sets and is able to create space against all different kinds of fronts. And then look at this. Before we even look at it, I want you guys to see what the difference is here. The 2 differences in the dynamics in the way Arthur Smith calls plays and formulates their offense. This time they spread everybody out. There's nobody in the middle of the field, and they're still running into nobody in the middle of the field. Like, they're running into where the majority of the defense is in terms of spreading them out. They just want to get the ball in Bijan Robinson's hands any way that they can. And this is not only a fantastic way to do so, but it shows you how he's so good at manipulating people in space. He forces a missed tackle from number 30 right there, not because of pure strength or pure speed, but because of the hesitation. So he's got, obviously, the innate ability to stop on a dime and get going. So he's coming through the hole here. And then he fakes like he's going to go right around this safety and head in for a touchdown. So he just does a really quick stop, cut, inside, reaccelerate, and move that body positioning out of the way and force a missed tackle. I love the way that the Atlanta Falcons are getting him the ball more. Yes, Tyler Algier is still a pain in the side, as well as Cordell Patterson at times. But Bijan Robinson against this defense is what I'm talking about. Over the last 3 weeks, we've seen a 29% target share targets per route run for Bijan Robinson. He's got 3 touchdowns in the last, he had 3 touchdowns from weeks 1 to week 9. And in the last month, he's scored 4 touchdowns. He's got 17 plus fantasy points 3 out of the last 4 games. He is tipped legitimately the wide receiver 3 on the Falcons. Like, he's got 16% target share. That is 3rd on the team. And the Carolina Panthers are 4th in fantasy points given up to running backs. And this is what I'm talking about. They are giving him the ball even more on the goal line because he is such a great player. The same kind of concept that we just talked about in space, he's doing behind the line of scrimmage. So they're going to come out here, again, in this overload formation with 2 tight ends on the left-hand side. So you've got 12 personnel. That's the heavy side of the formation. And they're going to get a really nice double teams, right? In two double teams on the left-hand side. They're going to give Bijan Robinson, this is just, again, it's inside zone. Inside zone. So Bijan can go here or here on either side of this double team. And his one job is to force number 31 to hesitate slightly. And then he's going to pick whichever gap that he ends up going to. So Bijan, as again, that short area god that he is, makes it seem like he's going to cut up right here into this A gap and then bounces it right into this gap for a great touchdown. Just simple, tiny micro movements, second level manipulation tactics, all things that we saw at Texas that are being utilized for the Atlanta Falcons. Unique offense, and yes, I know Desmond Ridder is still at quarterback. I think he is their best option to win. Weirdly enough, Taylor Heinicke just doesn't move the needle for everything that Desmond Ridder doesn't do very well. Bijan Robinson is going to be a focal point. They should be up very early and very often in this football game. Should allow Bijan to get to that 15, 16, 17 rush total. He could break off some big ones as well. We saw them use him in the passing game. They threw it to him like 2 times in a row to open the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They want to get him involved, and this is a spot to do it against one of the worst defenses and teams in the NFL. So Bijan Robinson obviously is a huge must start. We have him ranked as running back 6 for a reason. He's going to be a huge asset down the stretch here for the Atlanta Falcons and for your fantasy teams. Next guy is one that people kind of have written off, it feels like, over the last few weeks. He's not getting talked about as enough, in my opinion. Zay Flowers, currently wide receiver 25 on Football Guys weekly ranks. And what I love about what they're doing with him right now is that they are allowing him to play one-on-one on the offense. People are really focusing on OBJ. I think Isaiah Likely's being involved well. And they have so many different running backs that they use all the time. But this is what Zay Flowers has really adapted his game to in the NFL. This is basic. It's basic curl route, go elevate and get that football. So like I said, he's just going to come out here, run a little curl. And what I liked about this is watch his hands at the top of his route. A lot of times you're going to see wide receivers and corners initiate contact, use that hand movement to try to like swim over the top or swipe aside to go vertical. So right here, we're going to see, we can already see he wants to stop, but he's going to use his hands to keep selling that defensive back up the field. And then he's going to elevate to get this football. Like, this is high pointing. And the good thing about it, he doesn't just like leave it in the air. He hauls it back into his chest, and then he makes a guy miss off the other end to continue for yards after the catch. Tough player, excellent hand-eye coordination, and the ability to use his hands and speed to sell different routes are why he's so fun. He is the only wide receiver that's averaging over 58% snap share in Baltimore. He has a 25% target share. And the last 2 weeks, we've seen him get 18 targets, and he's just scored a touchdown in back-to-back weeks like we're seeing right here. This is the guy that I know that I believe is going to be the most involved continuously week to week. I know OBJ is getting the deep targets and the large amount of the air yards in Baltimore right now. But he is the unquestioned wide receiver 1 in Baltimore with Andrews out. So they move him out here to the slot, and he's just running an over route. This is a really nice design from Todd Monken. All 3 of these receivers are running like these claws. This is kind of what it looks like. They're all running from the outside right to the left-hand side, and then they come underneath it with little the opposite motion of Isaiah Likely and the running back. And it ends up putting basically Zay Flowers on an island with the safety. They bracket the other 2 with coverages because that's how they're playing. Safety and corner over top, linebacker underneath and corner on the opposite side. or excuse me, and safety on the other side. So we see, again, this is going to end up into a bracket. This right here ends up to a bracket, and that leaves one-on-one coverage right here with Zay Flowers moving from right to left much faster than that safety can get over. And he's just in the end zone for a touchdown. That's just excellent execution from the wide receivers in Baltimore. Great structure and play call from Todd Monken. When we're looking at their matched up this next week, Jacksonville has really kind of faltered on their defense side. They're 6th in fantasy points surrendered to wide receivers this year. And this is one of the plays that I would love to have seen them get to fruition, with them kind of spread out from right to left, a lot more space on the right-hand side of the field. And they're going to draw up this guy right here, Zay Flowers, in a really nice mesh underneath drag route. So here he goes in that motion. They're going to be able to get him free for a big first down in overtime. They heated up Lamar Jackson, and we see the one-on-one coverage to the outside here. I totally get that for Isaiah Likely. The problem is, again, this is drawn up. So I believe Likely, would have been the hot route in this situation. So they blitz. Lamar's looking to his right. He's probably trying to sell right initially, and then he wants to hit this underneath. Unfortunately, he was unable to get to Flowers, because this guy, I'm telling you right now, he takes that for a touchdown. That would have been a touchdown. So I really believe that they're going to get him continuously involved, obviously, with as much of the snap shares he's playing. It makes a lot of sense, and all the targets that we're seeing in Baltimore right now for Zay Flowers, that he's going to continue to have a lot of involvement, and I think he could really be a boom candidate in this game against Jacksonville. So Zay Flowers, wide receiver 25, must start. He's going to get back-to-back weeks and touchdowns. I think he's going to make it 3 in a row against Jacksonville. Funny we're talking about Jacksonville right there, because the next guy I want to talk about is Zay Jones. I just talked about Zay Flowers. Zay Jones, who's currently wide receiver 38 on Football Guys weekly ranks, and he's an interesting dynamic player because Christian Kirk goes out, right? And that changes the dynamic of the offense. It kind of has made Evan Ingram essentially their slot receiver. So Zay Jones out here on the outside by himself is typically going to see the third rung of defenders, and he's going to get a lot of one-on-one matchups. And this is the big thing for me. Zay Jones can win these deep balls. Last season, he was garnering a huge target share from Trevor Lawrence, and the connection formed also in the red zone. That's a guy who they really want to get involved. In the last 2 weeks, he's earned 22 targets, only had 10 receptions on those targets, and it's not great usage-wise. I think that they've done a better job of throwing him the football, and they're going to have a much easier time going forward with a healthier Trevor Lawrence being able to, get him the football downfield. But we're going to see some of the missed opportunities right here as they move Zay Jones in motion. I like them using him as an outside receiver, but motioning him down to the slot and getting matchups like this in motion. This should have been almost a house call, but he gets kind of tugged right here by this slot receiver who kicks down. You're going to see him tug him right there. He grabs his jersey, and he's unable to get all the way, because this would have absolutely been a house call. So in that time, again, he's only had 10 receptions, just over 100 yards, and no touchdowns. But he's at 93% route participation, 23% target share in the end zone, and a 24% target share overall. And Lawrence has thrown for 300 yards in 5 of the last 6 games. They're going to, once again, I think, be behind to the Baltimore Ravens. And that trailing mindset in an offensive line that has struggling to run the football, I think is really going to help them continue to funnel the ball to these outside wide receivers. And then, again, like I said, Trevor Lawrence, this is why I want to start Zay Jones, because he's got this man throwing him the football. This is a fantastic layered throw behind the linebacker level to Zay Jones, who's just kind of running this stop route behind, gets in there, high points that, catches it. It's a nice play, and you can do this in the end zone all day long. So Trevor Lawrence throwing him the football, again, for those 300-plus yards in the last 5 out of 6 games, I think that we're going to see a big return to action for Zay Jones against the Baltimore Ravens in a game where, again, I believe they're going to be trailing and going to have to throw the football all over the yard. Start him. He's going to be very useful for you guys in the fantasy playoffs. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love doing these film breakdowns. They're my favorite part of the week. If you guys, again, hopefully I was able to earn a like from you on the way out. And if, again, you are new to the channel, hit that sub button before we say goodbye. There's tons of content here on Football Guys, the YouTube page, the website. Make sure you're checking it all out every week and then in the offseason for everything you need to get ready for the next fantasy season. Have yourselves a great day. We'll see you next time.